Palantir reported another excellent quarter of financial results as the business continues to boom. The stock price is up another 4% in the aftermarket hours following the quarterly earnings release. Of course, I've had Palantir stock rated as a hold all year long in 2025. The valuation has been rich. Investors have known about the excellency of this business. No one is surprised by the performance of this business. In fact, I feel people are overestimating the success of this company, even though the performance has been excellent. And I'm going to share with you all the great figures, the figures that shows a company deserves a premium valuation. And following this review of the company's quarterly earnings results, I'm going to share with you my updated recommendation for Palantir stock, let you know if I still think the stock is a hold or if I'm upgrading it to a buy. Already, I did upgrade my proprietary discounted cash flow valuation for Palantir. I increased the intrinsic value or the fair value calculation for Palantir after I updated and increased the company's free cash flow expectations over the next 5 years and over the next 10-year periods as the company updated its full year 2025 outlook and increased how much it expects to deliver in free cash flow. So let's take a look at these results.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
Right, so Palantir CEO saying that this was a phenomenal quarter. We continue to see the astonishing impact of AI leverage. And it seems like for 2, 3 straight years, every single quarter, Palantir has been having a phenomenal quarter. The success of this company over the last 3 years, the acceleration, right? It was always a growth company, but for several years, that growth rate was decelerating before a couple of years ago where it started to reignite that revenue growth engine. And the driver of that success, as I talked about a few years ago, the driver of that success is with enterprise, not with governments, right? Because Palantir has always had a strong presence in government business, but what was missing was the enterprise segment. Nowadays, the enterprise segment is growing significantly faster and much faster than the government segment. And that's really what's fueling the success of Palantir's business and subsequently the success of Palantir stock. The company reported U.S. commercial revenue increased by 93% year over year and 20% from the previous quarter. 93% year over year growth, and that's in the enterprise segment. And that now totals 306 million. Overall, that's almost 50% of its US revenue of 733 million, as the commercial revenue grew much faster than the government revenue, which also increased in a robust rate of 15%. Overall revenue increased by 48% as its business outside of the United States is not growing anywhere near as quickly as the US business. It now achieved its first quarter of $1 billion in revenue. Palantir also closed a record-setting $2.27 billion of total contract value, which is up 140% year over year. These are important because this eventually turns into revenue. Palantir signs usually longer term contracts like a 5 year, $100 million deal, and that goes into its total contract value, and then it turns into revenue as the company performs those obligations. They also closed a record-setting $843 million of U.S. commercial contract value, which was up 222% year over year. These are ridiculous numbers for a company this size. It's easy to grow at these rates when you're a much smaller business, but when you're a business that's now generating annualized revenue of over $4 billion, very difficult to achieve these rates of increases. Very difficult. You'd be hard pressed to find another company anywhere near this size, growing anywhere near these rates. So the U.S. commercial remaining deal value of 2.79 billion was up 145% and 20% from the previous quarter. Customer count increased by 43% and 10% from the previous quarter. All of these are phenomenal numbers. And this is one CEO that when he says this was a phenomenal quarter, that's not an overstatement, right? Other CEOs when they talk about having a phenomenal quarter, sometimes they're, overhyping the success of the company. This is not anywhere. This is an actual phenomenal quarter from Palantir, and this isn't the only one the company has had. This company has strung together several of these phenomenal quarters. Cash flow from operations of 539 million represents a cash flow from operations margin of 54%. That's among the best of any company that I follow. It's up there with Visa, MasterCard, Nvidia in terms of the cash flow from operations. When you divide it by sales, the percentage is up there among the best of the best. And Palantir is growing, arguably up there at the same rates of Nvidia and generating accelerating revenue growth, whereas Nvidia's revenue growth rate is decelerating. Looking ahead, the company expects more of the good times, forecasting revenue of around 1.085 billion in the next quarter, up from 1.004 billion, so about an 83 million increase for the next quarter in revenue, and adjusted operating income of 495 million. Excellent margins continue. For the full year 2025, they're forecasting revenue of $4.1 billion, raising their U.S. commercial revenue guidance to 1.3 billion, which would represent a growth rate of at least 85%. So these are strong numbers to say the least. Now, I updated my cash flow valuation model for Palantir. I now calculate the intrinsic value per share to be $45, and the current market price is up over $165. As I mentioned, the success of this company is no secret to anyone in the market. This is arguably the most popular stock in the market right now. The performance is one of the best. It's near its 52-week high. In fact, in the aftermarket hours, it's reaching its 52-week high. People are, in my opinion, no one is underestimating this company. I feel like I'm the only one that might be underestimating this company. The market overall is very bullish on Palantir stock. I actually upgraded, and I've been upgrading my intrinsic value per share calculation since the start of the year. I had this business. The intrinsic value per share calculation was around $25 in my model, and I've been upgrading it higher and higher and higher. And prior to this quarterly earnings release, it was at $32. And now, after this earnings release and the update to the full year 2025 outlook, I now value it at $45. So, needless to say, I think this is a great company. And I think a month and a half ago, I said that I was ready to buy this stock. And I'm even more bullish on this company following this quarterly earnings release. And I would love to buy this stock, but I would not want to buy it at anywhere near these values. I think in at these values, there isn't much to gain for investors in terms of risk versus reward, because so much of its success it's already priced into the stock. And I can understand the excitement around this company. I follow around 200 to 300 companies, and I would I would be hard pressed to find a company that's delivering the kind of performance that Palantir is delivering. With this kind of competitive advantage, being at least one step ahead of the competition, arguably two steps ahead of the competition, delivering the kind of margins it's delivering in a market that's growing as quickly as the AI market is growing. I don't think I can name a company like Palantir having this kind of success. So I can understand the investor excitement and the investor enthusiasm around Palantir stock, right? And you've heard me cover Tesla, and it's like I can't understand the enthusiasm around Tesla stock because Tesla's not delivering anywhere near good performance, right? Its sales are falling, its profits are collapsing, its cash flow is it's not in an attractive industry. Like, I can't understand the excitement around Tesla stock. Whereas with Palantir stock, it's a whole other story. It's so attractive, the business, the opportunity, the management. It's just a great company. And I'm hoping to be able to buy it at a lower price, but I'm not going to pay these valuations for Palantir stock. I hope for the company's continued success, but I won't be buying at these valuations. So to update my rating, as you can tell from the tone of my discussion here, I've had Palantir stock rated as a hold, and I updated that rating following these quarterly earning results. However, uh, the results made me more bullish on the company, and the results made the company more the valuation increase. As I highlighted, I increased my DCF valuation for Palantir stock. Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.